Hello, Kansas FFA, and welcome to this year's state convention. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Becky Fouard, and I too was a member of the Kansas FFA Association. I would not be the leader I am today, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for the opportunities that FFA gave me. As you can imagine, when I got an email asking if I would talk to you all, I was psyched. I was so excited, the ideas started swirling around in my head, and then the question, what should I wear? Things aren't as easy as just putting on the blue corduroy jacket anymore. I actually have to match outfits. So I called up Abby, who's in charge of us speakers at this convention. Abby and I talked through some stuff, and at the end of our conversation, I asked, okay, Abby, what's the attire? She goes, oh, Becky, no worries, it's business casual. Okay, hang up, go about my night, and then I get to thinking, what is business casual? Are we talking 2019 slack skirt, heels, blouse, or are we talking 2020 and 2021? Because that looks a little bit different for me. So I wore what I've been wearing for the last year and a half. And if you ask me, it's pretty cozy. If there was one headline I would give to the year 2020, it would be getting comfortable leading in the gray. And I'm not just talking about the gray sweatpants. Today, we're gonna talk about, first off, the importance of getting cozy and comfortable in situations that are gray, because not everything is always black and white. And then second, we're gonna talk about how leaders create playbooks where there's no instruction manual. Before we jump into things, let me jump into a new outfit. This is a little bit better. We're gonna jump into first, getting comfortable in the gray. As we talk about getting comfortable in gray situations, we're gonna rewind to one of my first jobs out of college. I was working for Elanco Animal Health when my supervisor called me and asked if I would join a small team to create a new nonprofit called Hatch for Hunger. The mission of Hatch was to work with egg farmers to get eggs to food pantries. One of the least donated items, but one of the most demanded by people going, because it's packed with protein and nutrition. I was egg-static. Get it? Egg-static? Okay. I was so excited though. I said yes, jumped on board, and one of my first assignments was to call some potential donors as we were getting things up and running and see if they'd be interested in sponsoring a local food pantry. So I called the first donor, no one picked up. Called the second donor. Okay, they picked up, but they need to call me back. All right, cool. I called the third donor. They pick up. Oh, hey, hi, I'm Becky Fouard. I'm working for Hatch for Hunger. We're a new nonprofit, and our mission is to get quality nutrition to food pantries, and we do that through eggs. And I was wondering if you'd be interested in sponsoring a local food pantry. Excuse me, ma'am. You can stop. I'm not interested in enabling people, so you can take me off your list. Click. If you can imagine a car going 60 miles an hour, oh, wait a second, we're in Kansas, going 80 miles an hour and hitting a fence post. That is what I felt like. That donor just knocked the wind out of my sails. Fortunately, that night I was signed up to volunteer at our very first food pantry receiving eggs from us. I show up, I check in, and I'm assigned the volunteer task of personal shopper. The role of a personal shopper is to walk around with a cart with those coming in to receive food and help them pack stuff up and carry it out to their car. My first person came in. I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Becky. They introduced themselves. We'll call him Jerry. We start walking. I start pushing the cart. And being the extrovert I am, I don't really like silence. So I started asking questions. So Jerry, where are you from? Oh, about 45 minutes from here. 45 minutes? What brought you all the way to this food pantry? That was the last question I asked. And then I just listened. Jerry started to talk about how his wife, who stays at home with their 3 kids, found this specific food pantry because she heard it had more than just Pop-Tarts and honey buns, and she wanted some good food for their children, especially before they went to school. He continued to talk about how he worked for a business for 5 years, and then suddenly 3 weeks ago, they had to let go 50 employees, and he was one of them. He said he never thought he would need help. We continued to walk up and down the aisles, and Jerry went from looking down and at the shelves to looking at me and getting more excited and louder as he talked about his family and what they were doing. We took the food out to his car, loaded it up, said goodbye, and that's when I realized Jerry is just like you or me. He's a hardworking guy who just found himself in a difficult situation. He's a neighbor needing some help. That donor put Jerry and everyone that goes to food pantries into this box, saying that they were lazy or enabled and we shouldn't help them. That donor was wrong. As leaders, it is so critical that we make sure we get comfortable in gray situations. Not everything can be put in this box or that box. As leaders, we need to make sure we are being curious. We're seeking to understand different types of people, organizations, and groups. How do you feel when someone says, FFA, it's just for farmers? Well, we know FFA is so much more. Yes, it's for farmers, but it's also for people interested in leadership, in career development. FFA and agricultural education teaches us about the business, science, and technology in ag and the over 300 careers in the industry. Leaders, we need to make sure we're curious, we're asking questions, we're learning more about others, and not just putting them in a box, and we're advocating for those people and those organizations that are important to us. Not everything is black and white. We need to get comfortable in the dialogue of talking about those gray situations. By doing that, we are going to become more inclusive leaders that see the big picture. So we've talked about the importance of getting cozy in the gray and not just talking about gray sweatpants. Next, let's talk about how leaders create playbooks where no playbooks exist. Think to yourself, what did you want to be as a kid? Do you want to be an astronaut, country music singer? If you're like me, I wanted to be a horse jockey. Didn't happen. That's okay. My husband had a dream as a young adult to someday own and operate his own CrossFit gym. After about 5 or 6 years of hard work, multiple jobs, countless hours, continued education, saving, his dream finally happened. That's actually where we are right now. And then the pandemic hit. According to Yelp's business economic impact from September of last year, 140,000 businesses were forced to close their doors between the spring and summer of 2020. Out of those 140,000 businesses, almost 98,000, 60%, had to close down permanently. Imagine achieving your dream and then having that risk of losing it all. That is how we felt in March of last year when we got the notification that we, like all fitness centers, needed to close our gym until further notice. At first, we felt in shock, and then sad, depressed, and then we realized we needed to act, and we needed to act quickly. We needed to figure out how do we take this in-person experience with equipment and coaches now to people's couches, garages, and back doors. Our leadership team in the gym came together and we started calling and seeking out advice from others in the industry. And we got a lot of ideas. And that's just what they were, ideas. Nothing was proven. There was no instruction manual that said, in case of pandemic, do A, B, and C. No. We had to take what information we had, listen to our members, and make the best decisions we could for the collective. So we came up with a plan. We launched the plan, and then what we saw from there was astonishing. Within days, we had members raising their hands saying, hey, if someone can't afford their membership during this time, please let me know, and I want to pay for them anonymously. We had people raise their hand and say, what would it look like if we created care packages and delivered those to all the members from our gym who are nurses or in the medical field? We had people suggest we do an evening coffee chat once a week, which we did, so people could connect and not feel so isolated, and people could get to know each other from different classes and different times of the day. We even had someone do a fundraiser for a nonprofit to give back during that difficult time. What we saw were leaders stepping up, sharing ideas to take action where there was no action plan in place. And what that created was a culture where people truly cared to help one another. As leaders, it's hard. It is so hard to make decisions when you don't know if the decision you're making is going to be right or if it's going to fail. It's also hard because there's a lot of critics out there. There's a lot of people that it's easy for them to criticize, but they haven't been in your shoes. Leaders are bold. We need to have the courage when there's no playbook to raise your hand, to step up and share ideas. Oftentimes what you'll find is there's other people in the background eager to hear your idea and be a follower. As an FFA member, think, in your next chapter meeting, when they're trying to figure out a way to connect with younger people, go ahead, raise your hand, share that idea you have to get more agriculture education to younger audiences. As you grow up, we have a huge demand to produce more food with less resources, and we need you as leaders to be innovative, get creative, and share ideas. They might not work. We might fail from time to time, but that's how we learn and we get one step closer to getting that outcome that we desire. Leaders create the playbook where there's no playbook that exists. Kansas FFA, last year was a training ground for us to grow, to learn and develop. Don't let it stop. Keep getting comfortable in the gray situations, sweatpants or not. Get cozy having dialogue and seeking to understand other people, groups, organizations, and advocating for the diversity that comes with FFA and ag education. Also, don't forget, be that leader that's courageous and steps up to help create the playbook where there's no playbook that exists. If you're interested in talking more about leadership or personal growth, please check out the Living Box Free podcast. Myself and my co-host, we love to nerd out and talk about leadership, personal development. You also can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Living Box Free Podcast. We hope that you'll stay connected, and don't forget, Kansas FFA, get cozy in leading in the gray.